Back the pack? Maybe not. We'll find out. What's trending, presented by Feastbox, donating 10% of every order to Full of Hope, a charitable organization that feeds hungry families.
Cougar Feast!
As Jarom just presented, Pac-12 President George Kliavkoff is reportedly scheduled to present the Pac-12's current media deal to the school presidents today.
That was supposed to be 2 hours ago, Bailey.
But not a word thus far. Yeah. Not a word on social media. The Arizona Board of Regents scheduled a last-minute meeting for this afternoon, we believe, based on them finding out whatever is in this deal to discuss the future of Arizona athletics. So, Jarom, as you look at all of the social media melee that has come out, and there has been a ton of it from notable and reputable sources, Brett McMurphy, Pete Thamel, Ian Fitzsimmons, among others, what do you expect the outcome to be from all of this Pac-12 debacle when the dust finally settles?
I don't expect anyone to make a move today, but I mean, we could see it in the next week or two, perhaps. It just depends. Like, again, if Arizona, and by the way, this Regent meeting is for Arizona and Arizona State, so it's the two public schools, right? Is what do they want to do if the number's not good enough? If it's not just the number, too, it's the exposure as well. If those two things are not good enough, then what? And Pete Thamel said that Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah are going to work together in their best interest. Will they want to blow this up? Because if one of them leaves, it feels like that could be the end of the Pac-12. They could add two teams, excuse me, but they're clearly the fifth best Power Five at this point. So which of these teams is going to be the one to leave and ultimately maybe be the demise of the Pac-12?
Yeah, and to your point, and in Thamel's article, and I quote, he says, sources say Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah, the Pac-12's remaining three of the so-called four-corner schools, Colorado's already gone to the Big 12, are expected to lump their futures together, whatever that might be. If it's the Big 12, will they lump together and all move to the Big 12? Would the Big 12 be looking to hit 16 if those three express interest to all collectively move together, or is it 14? Is it just Arizona and we call it good for now, and it's Arizona, like figure out what you want to figure out over in the Pac-12?
Will Arizona pull a Utah and pull away from its rival and go to a different league? Like, or will they work together in some way? I don't know how close they are or how close they are not, but it's really interesting. The most interesting thing, however, that came out yesterday was Ian Fitzsimmons saying the following on Twitter. This was reported by Tim Fitzgerald from Ian Fitzsimmons on SiriusXM College Sports Radio. I had one very high-ranking Big 12 official tell me when I brought up Utah as a two-time defending Pac-12 champs, they're okay in hoops, but they sell at their football stadium in the top 35 media market. Quote, when it comes to TV dollars, why aren't they going after the Utes? I was told that Utah isn't exactly returning the phone calls. That shocked me, ellipses. I was told that Utah doesn't want to appear to be following their rival in BYU.
What?
We all know that college athletics can be pretty dang petty. But I mean, look, we're talking about your future. Pick up the phone. If that's true, that adds a layer to the rivalry of nope. We don't want to be following them. Like, what level of ego is involved here for Utah? I believe that Utah would be the last team to walk out of the Pac-12, given their success recently. They have nothing but good feelings towards the Pac-12, given it's the Power 5 league they've been in, and they've won the league the last 2 years.
They're the top dog for the last 2 years.
On the field, they're the top dog. They are not the top dog off it, but they're one of the best, right, programs overall in the Pac-12. In football right now, they've won the last two. That's because USC has taken a step down. That's because Washington's not been the same. To Utah's credit, and I say that reluctantly, they have done a nice job of stepping through that open door. I hope one day BYU does that when Texas and Oklahoma leave, and perhaps there's a dearth, and BYU walks through that door in the Big 12. But if that's indeed true, that is shocking.
Again, it's not about ego at this point. This is about survival, that's been the message from everybody in the media. Like, okay, we're beyond the whole, in your ivory tower ego scenario.
Wait, I thought San Diego State was an upgrade.
This is about survival. If the deal that is presented today, and again, that reportedly being presented, we don't know for sure. We think, because we trust reporters across the country, but if that deal is not good enough,
then what?
like how close does it have to be good enough as well?
Yeah, if it's 25 mil, but it's on
Apple TV
TBS,
Plus,
TNT, and some combination of CW and Apple TV, then what?
is that good enough?
Like, is TBS, TNT good enough to be like, no, that's a big enough linear channel?
John Wilner of the San Jose Mercury News said yesterday, if the deal that the Pac-12 presents is within 10% either way of what the Big 12 has, again, the Big 12,
so 2 or 3 mil,
31.7 million. So if it's anywhere from 28 million to 34 million, he said, why? No one's leaving for a few $1 million per year.
I wouldn't think so. And how long is the deal, by the way? I doubt it's that long.
Maybe it's 3 or 4 years.
It might be very short.
Sure.
I would imagine it's no more than 5 years.
Okay.
Like 3
that
or 4
could factor into teams wanting to leave as well. The Big 12 deal runs through 2031, beginning next year. So that's a 7-year contract. If the Pac-12 gets back, hey, this is a 3 to 4 year deal, maybe 5 max, and it's 3 to 4 million less than the Big 12.
Will it be though?
Is that enough to push some of these teams? I hate to put a spotlight on what I feel is like pure conjecture right now, because there are a couple of Twitter accounts that claim themselves to be inside sources, right? That are like, oh, it's going to be about 20 million a year, and it's like,
How do you know that?
I'm not putting stock into that until I see something from a reputable source.
Yeah, no. We just need to hear it. And here's the trouble with George Kliavkoff this morning. He's got to show his cards in the middle of the game. It's not over. The TV deal's not done. Otherwise, they would have announced it.
No, they're just like, we want to see the progress.
He's
like,
got to show his
status?
cards and be like, I'm acting like I have a full house, but I don't.
This is the status.
Yeah, I have 2 of a kind. I'm going for 4 of a kind. But
he's waiting for the winner in the river to get flipped over in hopes that it salvages something.
Dive in that river,
right?
bro. Yeah.
He needs salvation in the river.
Which
speaking
is
to my card player fans, but Jason Scheer.
They're big in this audience. Yeah.
Hey, for Jolly Ranchers and other things.
Like 50 years ago, we would have lost our jobs for that reference.
Okay. Jason Scheer is a guy who is in the Arizona market primarily.
Yeah.
And he said, people are about to go crazy, so I'm just going to get this out of the way. He pointed out the Arizona Board of Regents meeting scheduled for tomorrow. It was not scheduled previously. There is no clear agenda for it as of now, and I don't know what it is regarding yet.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? Obviously, the agenda is what do we do after we see something from George Kliavkoff.
I mean, context clues would lead us that way.
Context clues. Will someone decide to blow it up? Like if Arizona and Arizona State leave, that is the demise. That is the end. Like if one leaves, I think they're okay. If 2 leave, I think they're in real trouble. And the whole Oregon-Washington Big Ten
What of Oregon and Washington after
this? It's still funny to me, because if the Big Ten really wanted them, why wouldn't they invite them? You can always say you're coming in 2 years. That's what USC and UCLA got. That's what initially Oklahoma and Texas got. Like, why couldn't they do that? Because they don't want them yet. They don't want them. Otherwise, they do it. Your actions tell me what you actually feel.
Or maybe they don't want them at the price that Oregon and Washington are asking for right now. What if Oregon and Washington
are
like
saying,
hey,
we'll go at a discount?
Yeah. What if they say,
we'll go only 50 mil instead of 70?
We will join at a discount. Then maybe does the Big Ten alter their position? Like, okay, you'll come in at a discount?
And those guys will be just fine. Like UW and Oregon have a massive brand. Oregon is Nike. Oregon is Phil Knight. Like, they'll be fine no matter what. And UW will hitch their horse there, and they've got a great tradition of excellence as well. They're just fine. It's the Oregon States and the Washington States and the Cal and the Stanfords that are in trouble.
Honestly, if I am Oregon and Washington in this scenario, and you're looking for stability, and the deal comes back, and it's, let's say it's 20 or 25 million, it's significantly lower than the Big 12 deal, and it's not as many years, and there's going to be no
it's not on Fox, or ESPN, or CBS.
And the Big 12 is like, hey, come on over for a few years. But they're like, well, we want to join the Big 10 eventually. If I'm the Big 12, I'm trying to broker a deal where it's like, okay, well, join our conference. We'll be your Airbnb for 3 years while your home in the Big 10 gets built.
My feeling there is that Yormark would be like, nah.
Well, with the big fat buyout, where it's like, hey, if the invite from the Big 10 comes.
I think he wants commitment or nothing. Like, I don't think he wants semi-commitment.
It feels that way, but who knows? I mean, if it's like, you need a home, we will provide that for you. If you get the invite to the Big Ten and you leave us, then you give us $50 million.
Yeah, I think there's a certain amount of hubris of, nah, if you're going to come here, you come here. Like, And they'd be locked in till 31, like unless they negotiate.
Well, that's why I said they can negotiate a buyout.
But I don't. Yeah, everything can end. Yeah, exactly. But literally, no. You sign up. It's a contract. No, you can get out of. You can get out of Temple.
You can get out of pretty much everything.
Yeah. Okay. Topic 2.
Brett McMurray.